Alright guys, so here we are for a different video. I thought I'd spice things up and jump in the slowest car on the F1 2013 game using the worst setup to see how we go. So just showing you my difficulty settings to prove that I'm not cheating. I'm also on the Xbox 360 as well, so there's no mods to be applied. I'm going to be racing around Brazil, so we should be able to showcase, well, how slow the AI are, particularly since Codemasters with the release of F1 2014 have announced this tweet where they said a new driver evaluation system which tunes the game to your level, shorter career options, refined handling, and a new very easy difficulty level brings Formula 1 to the novices. So I thought that was a bit of a funny a quote to bring up. I think they might need to rethink that after seeing this video, possibly. I made this just before the F1 2014 announcement as well, so this sort of ties in quite well to the fact that we need an extra hard option for career mode, or just single player in general, because I believe the AI are just too slow. So here we go, racing around the Brazilian Grand Prix, the Interlagos circuit, one of my strongest tracks as well. So driving in a Marussia as Max Chilton, let's see how we do. Alright, so here we are in Brazil, in a Marussia, driving as Max Chilton. We're going to put the worst setup possible on this car. So pretty much what we're going to do is front wings on 1 and the rear wing on 11, so we can get the most amount of drag possible without getting any turn in. Braking is going to be low and large brakes. The pressure, the balance is going to be all the way to the front, so that's going to induce the front tires to lock up. And the braking, stopping distances is going to be absolutely terrible. In terms of balance though, this doesn't really affect the setup of the car too much, but I'm just going to leave it at 1-1, so it's pretty unresponsive. Now the front ride height, this requires something, you can go either way with it, because the front ride height on 1 gives you better turn in, but having the front ride height on 11 gives you better straight line speed. So a track like Brazil, you want more straight line speed, so we're going for the opposite there, and with the spring stiffness it's all the way to the left, so we're going to have a pretty unresponsive car. In terms of the gearbox, it's going to be so short so that we can't get any drive or acceleration through the bottom gears, and then 7th gear is going to be all the way to the right, so that we as soon as we shift into 7th gear, we're going to absolutely bog down and not have any top line speed at all. Just fiddling with my 6th gear here, I eventually decided to move it all the way to the left as well. So moving on finally to the camber, and we're going to move that all the way to the right so that we don't have any cornering ability. The straight line speed will be okay, but the toe will sort of undo that by moving it all the way to the left. So that is the setup. Of course there are some compromises with that, but overall that is probably the slowest setup you could run on this game around Brazil. So fingers crossed we don't finish last here. I'm going to try and do my best to drag myself as high up the order as I can here. We're going to qualify. I'm going to try as hard as I can to do the best that I can in this terrible car, but we'll see how we go now. And here we are on our first flying lap. I did absolutely no practice leading up to this, so what you're seeing here is my it's like a true reflection of what this setup can do, so we'll see how we go. As you can see there, shifting up into 7th gear and the engine just completely bogs down. No straight line speed at all. We go 8th fastest on our very first lap, so that's a bit surprising. Second lap, move up into 11th. We're 2.3 seconds slower than Alonso, but that's to be expected. I was actually expecting to be a little bit slower than that, but the nature of Brazil being such a short circuit, I believe it's almost keeps the racing fairly close because of the short lap time. But here we are in our final run in qualifying. 3 laps of fuel on the car as well, and I don't remember what the split was. I think we were just up on our previous personal best, but we'll see how we go as we head towards the finish line of this lap. Locking up the inside front there, that's courtesy of the front balance that we're running there, so that's a little bit annoying to adjust with. In terms of the whole setup, it's fairly easy to adjust to. Apart from the brakes, I thought the brakes were really unstable with the long stopping distances, and then obviously so easy to lock up with the front balance being all the way to the front. But coming up to the line now, we'll see where we end up. We're in 17th place at the moment. This isn't the best lap in the world, but it puts us up in a 15th place, 2.5 seconds shy of the pole sitter. So there we go. Look at that in comparison to our teammate. I believe we were almost a second faster. So despite running the worst setup on the game, we were still a second faster than our teammate. So that tells to me, as I got interrupted there, so I apologise for that, the AI need to be at least a second lap faster on the next game. But here we are for the start of the race. Hopefully we can get off to a good start, and away we go here in Brazil. Looks like we've actually made ground on Bottas there, but the getaway in second, third and fourth hasn't been that great. Coming into turn 1 now, around the outside of Maldonado, up the inside of Rosberg, and we split Gutierrez and Raikkonen up the inside of Hulkenberg. Now this has been a fantastic start so far. I'm going to use up all of my curves here. 7th gear bogging down so much, and Jensen is getting away just a little bit, but we dive bomb him and Perez almost. The two Ferraris there. Alonso gets shoved out wide by his teammate there, Felipe Massa. But yeah, we'll try and go the inside of Alonso here if we can. And sort of overrun that corner there. So Alonso got away a little bit, but looks like he's broken early as he tries to overtake Massa, who's going very cautiously on this first lap up the inside of Alonso. He's got very nice drive traction. He holds it around the outside, but we're going to go for the dive bomb up the inside into the hairpin. Job done into P5. We lose the rear end as we don't really have any rear stability, but here we are at the end of lap 1. Alonso gets back up the inside coming into turn 1. We're going to try and dive bomb it back up the inside again. We make contact. Alonso is pinched on the inside, so he backs out of it, but not quite enough to give us a position. We're still going to have to work for it here. Using up a little bit of curves here, are we? No, we're going to save it actually, as Jensen now has a run on us up the inside coming into turn 4. Alonso going defensive and brakes early gives us half a chance to maybe get around the outside, but that Ferrari is just so much quicker than us. It's not really a comparison there, but now cutting to lap 5, the AI has sort of backed off in the last couple of laps. I believe they're saving fuel. Radio? Yeah, so there we go, just confirming what I was saying there. For the last couple of laps, it seems like the AI have been backing off, trying to save fuel. It's a bit of a shame that they haven't really tried to attack me, especially since my tyres have now been going off just a little bit in the last few laps. But here we are, coming in for our stop now. Looks like the majority of the field will be coming in as well, so if Marussia give me a bad pit stop, I think I'm going to be rejoining, possibly in the midfield. We'll have to see how we go, but the pit stop looks to be fairly decent, 3.0 seconds, so very good there from Marussia. That's just as good, or if not better, than most of the pit stops I get in career mode with Lotus. So there you go, Marussia is absolutely fantastic with their pit stops. But moving on with this race, we've rejoined in 11th. Of course, we still have a lot of more cars to make their stops, but now cutting to lap 11. We're now back in P6. We've locked up coming into the final corner. Grosjean now gets up the inside. We're going to have to put it up into fast. Use up all of our curves to defend. But Grosjean looks like we're actually faster than him here. He might be saving fuel like the rest of the AI. Going side by side here on the back straight. The main straight actually. He has DRS. And we try and hold it around the outside. We might just get this position back. But only just. Because Grosjean I don't think was running fast revs there. Otherwise he would have soared past us. But now cutting to lap 13, we've got Grosjean again, who's going a lot quicker this time. We try and outbrake him around the outside, and we've overshot turn 1 and had to go to the infield, and we've lost a lot of momentum. Lose a position to Raikkonen and Grosjean. Now Rosberg wants to have a go at us, but we've just got him covered at the moment. But this setup really isn't that bad. Well, it is bad, but the AI just aren't fast enough to really overtake me unless I make mistakes. So a little bit frustrating that I made that mistake coming into turn 1. I think if I wouldn't have made that mistake, I definitely wouldn't have lost those positions. So a little bit frustrating as we lock up coming through this corner here. Tried to maybe have a dive at Raikkonen, but nothing really came of it. But here we are, final lap, locking up like an absolute beast. The terrible tyre wear really doesn't complement the bad setup we've got on. Lewis Hamilton wins the Grand Prix. We're just trying to defend from Jensen while we can. The AI really haven't been much of a threat to us throughout the Grand Prix. It was only through little silly mistakes that they were able to pass me, but in Marussia, driving as Max Chilton in the worst setup possible, we're going to come across the line to finish in the points in Marussia. Alright, so there we go, 4 points. If you guys want to try out this challenge for yourself, but then by all means go ahead. But I was just merely showing off in this video what we can do with the worst setup, the worst car combination on this game. It looks like we did fairly well scoring in the points. When you compare it to our teammate or cars that are around the same performance, we absolutely smashed them. So let me know what you guys thought of the video. I think definitely for sure Codemasters really need to make the AI faster, because at the moment it's really not a challenge, especially if you're in midfield, even like top teams. It's just unfortunate that in career mode I really have to resort to slower teams in order to have a challenge on this game. But that's been this video for today. Until my next one, guys, I'll see you next time.
Afraid of no ghosts.